Lifepro customers and those interested in our products, it's Amber Kivett. I am here wanting to share with you today. I've had so many of you ask questions and so many of you have posted comments and thoughts about the different platforms that we have available. So I thought today what I would do is go through and share with you the differences in our entire Rumblex series. We've got the original Rumblex, which came out first. We've got the Rumblex Plus, which came out second. It's more of a flat platform. And then we have the Rumblex Pro, which just came out recently. I also have the Waiver Mini and I have the Hover. So I'm going to compare those 5 platforms and answer a lot of questions that I'm commonly seeing coming in from those of you who contacted me directly or those who have posted questions, comments on the Lifepro page. So if we're looking at the different Rumblex platforms, this one right here in the middle is the original, okay? This one right here is the Plus, and this one right here is the newest release, the Pro. A lot of people are asking me how flat the surfaces are. So I'm going to show you a little experiment here. I have a tape measure, okay, and I have a tablet with a Sharpie so that I can actually show you exactly the difference in the curve between all these different devices and the actual width of the platform. That way, so many of you who are not sure which direction to go between, if you already have the Rumblex that first came out and you're thinking about the Rumblex Pro or the Rumblex Plus because of certain limitations you might have at home or just comfort zone. Hopefully this video will clarify some of those questions that are coming up. So the Rumblex original, I am using just a regular, this is a Stanley tape measure, and I'm just measuring from end to end, okay? And what I mean by end to end, I'm going to measure from the end of the rubber platform, not the whole width of the platform, but just the standing surface. And right now, you can see how much of a difference is here. So I'm going to lock this in. And what I'm going to do with my notebook here, my daughter's notebook, is I'm going to mark a line so that you can see from the bottom the difference in variation of where these are falling in difference in curvature. So that those of you who have had concerns with your knee joints and your hip joints, you know exactly where this lies. Okay? So right here is the number 1, which is the original, okay? This surface right here is just a little bit wider than 2 feet. So it's 26 inches wide for this platform, okay? And if we're looking at how wide or how deep it is front to back, the standing surface is right at 16.5 inches if you're staying on the rubber, okay? As far as the height goes, okay, the height of this one is right at 6.5 inches. So if you are a senior citizen or if you are somebody who has physical disability and you're having trouble wandering with balance issues, if you can even get up on the platform, how well you can step up, step down, doing some of the exercises. These 2 right here are definitely a little bit taller than the Plus, and they have a little bit more curve to them, okay? Now, when we're looking at how much curve is actually here, from what I just measured, the greatest amount of curve in the middle, so the greatest amount of space from the surface to the edges is about a 2-inch difference. So there's a 2-inch curve from one end to the other if you measure how much distance is between that. So why does that matter? When you're standing on your platform, okay, the wider that your feet go, okay, you're placing 2 inches of what we call valgus stress to the knee, to the outside. So you want to make sure if you have knee pain, if you have a curved platform, okay, if you have knee pain, you don't want to be dropping your entire foot to the platform unless you are standing a little closer together with your legs. If you have knee pain and you're standing to the far edge, there's 2 things you can do. The one thing you can do is you can bend your knees more, because when you bend your knees more, it changes the loading and the angle going through the knee joint, okay? okay? The other thing that you can do is you reposition your weight distribution to the middle of the foot to the outside of the foot. So if your entire foot is in contact with the platform, you're just going to roll your feet to the outside if you have to have your feet all the way to the edges and you're worried about the curve. Otherwise, you can make full contact with the platform with your foot if you move in about 1.5 inches from each edge, and you should be safe with having, it takes that valgus stress out of the knee. What is valgus stress? That means stress coming from the outside, buckling the knee in. So if you're having knee pain when you're on the platform, it all depends on how you're positioning your foot on the platform, whether it has a curve or not, okay? So that is the original, okay? The Plus, which came out second. It's the second device that came out, okay? This one is completely flat across, okay? The standing surface, although the standing surface actually looks narrower, it's exactly the same as this one. So it's 26 inches across from the rubber surface. And again, I'm going to go back over here and double check my work. We're like 26.5, so you're getting 1/2 inch from the rubberized surface from the Plus to the original, which is not much room, so not that big of a deal. And as you can tell on this one, if I'm measuring all the way across, there's really no airspace whatsoever. Let me lock this in. There's no airspace whatsoever, so it's completely flat, okay? So if you're worried about the curve, if you're worried about total knee replacements, total hip replacements, if you have issues with your feet, you have pain in your knees, and you feel more comfortable wanting the flat surface, your only option with the Rumblex series is the Plus, okay? Now, from depth, this platform from the front to the back is 15 inches, and this one is 16 inches. So this platform overall is just a little bit smaller than the original, okay? It's 1 inch, about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch smaller on the sides, and it's about 1 inch smaller front to back. Not that big of a deal, okay? Now, let's talk about the Pro, because this is where everybody's asking me. They have a lot of curve. This is the one that everybody's been wanting to ask a lot of questions about. So I want to make sure that I share with you in a way that you can see it so you know I'm being legit with my answers. So this platform all the way across is 25.5 inches. So if you are looking for the widest standing surface, it is the original, okay? The original is actually wider. This one looks wider because you have the perimeter, which allows for the attachment of the accessories. So that's why this one looks so much bigger, but the surface of it is actually just a tad bit smaller than the original, okay? So once we get this locked in, and it's locked in, okay, now I'm going to measure using my piece of paper and my Sharpie over here off to the side, okay, making sure that I'm going all the way across, okay. Depending on, so that was, let me slide this over so I can get it right dead smack in the middle without marking on my other line. Okay, so we talk about the curve, okay, having a curve. This one, the curve is not as significant. So the difference, okay, so actually let me just show this to you. All right, so Rumblex original, this is the curve, okay? That curve, it's about a 2-inch curve, okay? If I measure the curve on the Pro, so that I'm not marking on the same line, so I'm marking it off center, I'm not on center. We're looking at a little over 1 inch of a curve on each side. And then if I measure directly in the middle of the platform, it's like 1.25 inches, okay? So there's about, let's just say, there's a 1/4 inch difference in the curve, all right? as far as the height of the curve. So this one definitely is more curved. This one is definitely not as curved. This one has a bigger, the Rumblex Original has a bigger standing platform when you're going in width. If we're looking at depth, this one is 17 inches, the Pro is 17 inches, and the Rumblex Original is like 16 3/4 inches, so you're really not missing much in size, okay? The other big difference between the Rumblex Pro among the other two is you have taken these gray discs out, which kind of give you an idea of where to stand based on the intensity that you're looking for. And this one is completely rubberized across. It's more comfortable for my hands to be in contact with this platform, but it's rubberized all the way across, whereas these are more textured all the way across. I'm not sure if any of that makes any difference to you guys, but that's the difference. When we look at how tall these are off the ground, the Rumblex Pro is about 6.5 inches to the standing part of the platform. If you look at the edge, it's like right at 7.5 inches. The Rumblex Original is 6.5 inches and is about 8 inches to the edge, okay? And then the Plus is 5.5 inches. So the Plus sits lower to the ground. The Rumblex is wider and a little bit, and is wider for sure. I think in depth it's a little bit shorter by like 3/4 inch, not much. So the Rumblex Original and the Pro and the Plus, they all have the exact same pre-programmed settings for P1, P2, P3. They're exactly the same, okay? Intensity-wise, for the most part, I have not seen any difference. So in other words, if you're standing on a P1 for the Rumblex Original and Rumblex Pro, does P1 feel, even though it's set up the same way, does the intensity feel exactly the same? Yes, it really does feel exactly the same on all of the devices for the most part. There's a big difference between the Rumblex Original and the Rumblex Plus, okay? And that feature exists only on the Rumblex Plus, which is actually a really cool feature. For those of you who are on the Rumblex Original and you happen to sit on top of the platform and you kick the machine off by accident because your butt either touches the touch panel or you tapped a button by accident, the Rumblex Plus has on the remote a feature in which you can lock the screen so that when you are in contact with the unit, whether it's laying across it, sitting on it, you happen to step on it with your toes, you don't kick the machine off. It's locked in. It also has a sound off, sound on button. So if you don't like listening to the beeps and the sound effects of the platform, the Rumblex Plus, you can turn all of that off. All three systems have Bluetooth speakers built into them, so you can listen to music, or if I'm streaming a live workout or a pre-recorded workout, you can listen through your speakers as I'm teaching the workout, okay? Many of you have asked about the attachments. The one thing that sets apart the Pro from all of the other units is the attachments and the accessories. It comes with these static stretch bands, and what I mean by static stretch bands, it is a type of cord that is velcroed on top of the device that when you're standing on it, you can pull and the strap doesn't shorten or lengthen or add resistance. It just allows you to isolate where you're feeling the vibration when you're standing on the platform. Hard to explain, but if you happen to get on one, easy to understand and easy to coach you through that. The other thing that makes the Plus really cool is it has these bungee bands as an option to anchor into the top of these, okay? Here's the thing. My understanding is that Lifepro does not have these available for the other units because they're not made for the other units. They're not engineered, they're not tested, so it's a liability, I'm sure, if they try and sell these for other platforms. So I'm going to share with you a hack and an option if you are wanting to utilize your platform for other types of resistance bands, because the ones that come with it are not adjustable, okay? You can't gain any resistance from these. So if these are too long, too short, not enough difficulty for you, or you're just bored with them and you want more variety, there's a way that you can use these in order to improve the outcome of the workout, all right? Let me see here. I've got my earbuds in, so I should be... Is there anybody else having trouble hearing me? If you can post really quick if you're having trouble hearing me, because I've got my mic on through my earbuds. Want to make sure everybody can hear. If anybody else is watching. Everybody can hear. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. All right. So what I want to show with this, okay, awesome. No problem. What I want to show with you guys is on the front of the unit, there are, well, yeah, on all three of the Rumblex, you have an attachment point on the front of your unit. So when you attach your band to your device, you're going to pinch the cord, you're going to drive it through the little hole on the little plate that's attached to the bottom of the unit, and you can do one of two things. You can pull it with the handle through so that it stays anchored in, okay? But if you have the Rumblex original, and if you want to play with the Bungee Bands, or if you have resistance bands of your own that you've bought on Amazon that have the carabiners in them, there are so many options on Amazon that you can buy, because I know that Joel does not have a lot of these available for purchase, which is what we were originally thinking. So my apologies for any confusion with that. You can buy these on Amazon in different strengths and resistances. The only challenge is because you don't, they don't sell them in pairs, you might have to buy 2 different sets, okay? Okay, so my audio is turned up. So Mary, I'm so sorry you can't hear me. My audio is up. I don't have any other variability in my sound here right now. Anyhow, you can buy something like this on Amazon. You just might have to buy 2 complete sets so you can work 2 at the same time. All right, let me try something else. Let me pull these off. Let me see if this changes the sound. Does that sound any better? Can anybody give me a thumbs up? Does that sound better? Does that sound worse? So I've got a microphone now plugged into the unit as opposed to me speaking through the microphone on my earbuds. Okay, so hopefully that helps with the sound. If not, I'll have to repeat this video another time. Anyhow, this is, so what you can do, okay, when your band is attached to your device, it doesn't matter which device you have, okay, when you thread this through, and then you weave your handle through it, okay, you create the opportunity for a double loop, all right? If you don't want to connect this automatically to your device, you're gonna attach it to the bands that you already have, okay? Awesome, it sounds like audio is so much better. I'm so sorry, everybody, for the audio problems. If I have to repeat this video in the future, I will. So anyways, you can attach this to your device with the bands that come already with it. So my point is, you can't get these unless you buy the Pro. If you want to buy a set off of Amazon, you can buy something very similar to these on Amazon, and you can do more resistance work on your platform without having the special Velcro attachment that the Pro uses, okay? So this is my personal hack. Joel does not realize that I'm sharing this with you. I've done some research at home. I've played around with it because here's the thing. I want to make sure that any of you that already have a device, you don't have to upgrade in order to be able to use this kind of stuff. if you already have a device at home, and I'm going to demonstrate this here in a second with the other two platforms that I have that are not Rumblex series, but if you have a device at home and you have physical therapy bands, or you have the bungee bands with the hook in, there are so many ways that you can incorporate other equipment you already have with the platform and get the best bang for the buck, okay? So I want to make sure, for those of you who are loyal and committed to us, long-term with the exercise programs we're going to bring to you, I want to make sure that you can use it and adapt your unit for whatever point you're trying, or whatever goal you're trying to get out of this. But I want you to make sure and understand you're doing that at your own risk, because we have not put any of these through engineering controls for liability purposes. So we are not responsible if you use your own bands on our devices unintended. So I'm just sharing this with you because it's research I've done on my own time, and I want to make sure that you all understand that there are other options for your device. But I am not an employee of Lifepro. I just provide the educational side of things and the medical expertise. So please make sure and understand that you're doing this at your own risk. So if your bungee band comes unattached because your cord isn't holding, that's just something you're going to have to deal with. But I've had some of these, the nice thing about these bungee bands, if they do snap, and I've had them for several years, I've been doing this for 20 years. It has taken several years for my bungee bands to snap, and it takes a tremendous amount of force. So if you decide to go this route, you can do a lot of great things at home without having to use free weights. So you can attach your bungee band to the band already connected to the vise, and now we can do bicep curls, okay? Or we can pull and row, we can bend over and row. So that's just some different things. You know, you can turn, you can go palm away and extend back, so there's your triceps, okay? There's a lot of different things you can do with the bands. And the other thing that's really cool about the bands is it grounds you to your unit. So if you have trouble staying on your device, you can stand and pull on the bands, and it pushes your body to the device harder, which means you absorb the energy more. So it gives you more balance by holding on to the bands without even doing the exercise, okay? So let me check on this question. Yes, awesome. All right, so that's how you can attach any kind of band you already have at home to the device. I have ordered another type of band that we use in a lot of physical therapy settings for rehabilitation. It does not have an attachment point. It doesn't have the carabiner or the handles. It's a really cool resistance band with loops that are already built into it. So as soon as I get those in the mail this next week, I'm going to do another episode and show you guys how to do that, and then I can give you the exact name of that band because it's rehabilitation, it's medically based, and then you can use that at home as well as an option. So that's an option for you, okay? So again, the Pro, the original, the Plus. If you have balance challenges, trouble going up and down stairs, go with the Plus. It's flat, it sits lower to the ground, and they all have the same programs already pre-established. They all have the same settings. It just, they have a little bit of a curve, and I showed the measurements before, so you can go back and watch that part. Now, for those of you who have the other devices, okay, this is the Waiver Mini. This is the little guy, okay? This is a really good one for traveling or keeping in your office, okay? And just to give you some perspective, this is how big that platform is compared to the others, okay? So it's a huge difference. Now, the question I get all the time, will I be okay on the Waiver Mini and doing exercises at home? The answer is yes, but I want you to remember, if you have balance problems, you do not want the Waiver Mini because it's too small to give you a wider base of support. So the Rumblex original is 27 inches across, and the Waiver Mini is 21 inches across. That is a huge difference in position for you to stand. So if you are standing on the Waiver Mini, okay, super narrow, at the widest point of the Mini, I am just shoulder width apart on the big one. So I can step out an entire extra foot each direction, which changes the support, which changes the amount of energy that you absorb, which changes a lot of your options. The Waiver Mini is an amazing option if you sit at an office or you're sitting at home and you just want to put your feet on one and you're just wanting to use it for restless leg syndrome or neuropathy. It's not nearly as aggressive as the Rumblex series. So if you're trying to use it for rehabilitation of an orthopedic injury, surgery, you're an athlete, you're trying to get stronger for an event coming up, the Rumblex series hands down is the best of all of our platforms. Okay, it is just a totally different series of devices. You have 4-dimensional motions, whereas with the Waiver Mini you only have 2D, 3D. Okay, and so, but because this is so much lighter, it's very easy to travel with. So if you go to the office, or if you're going to a friend's house for the weekend, or you want to be able to stow it away because it doesn't take up much size and it's not very heavy, the Waiver Mini is a great alternative platform, but I don't recommend it for everyday use if you have a lot of goals. Okay, it is a great companion for getting away. I wouldn't take any of the devices on an airplane by any means, but it makes it very easy for travel. Okay, now you can still attach these bungees to the Waiver Mini, and like I showed you before on the Rumblex series, the Waiver Mini, the little bars swing out from the side. Let me show this to you up high. Okay, this is why this device is so cool. It's because it's so light. Okay, this device, the bars swing out from the side to the front. Okay, and you can use these however you see fit, but what you're going to do, you do have the availability of the traditional bands. Okay, so again, when you go to put your bands on the device, no matter which device you have, we put these on every device exactly the same. We slide it through the little eye hole, and then we pull the handle through. All right, that secures the band. But what you have is a double loop. Okay, so when you pull the loops together, then we can attach our handy dandy bungee cord. Now, my only concern with a lot of those of you who have balance challenges, or you have this stuff laying around, this is a falling hazard, this is a trip hazard. Okay, so, and this is super heavy duty. That's why I'm operating the whole unit just by moving the bungee cord around. Okay, another option for you, if you don't want the falling hazard, which none of us want you to have a falling hazard because we love you all so much, is what you can do. This is a little Velcro hook and loop strap that you can buy at your local hardware store, or you can buy yourself a heavy duty cable tie. Okay, heavy duty cable tie. Make sure it has like a 200-pound resistance rating. So the way that this works, it comes on a roll, or you can buy them like in strips. But it is, I showed this last week too, it's just a Velcro strip, okay? And what you can do is with a Waiver Mini, okay? You have your little eye here, okay? You can weave this through and then thread it through the little eyelet here, like it's made for, okay? And then you can seal it, and then you have provided your own little loop that's not metal, so it's not going to clink when you're vibrating. Okay, and then with whatever resistance band that you have that have a clip on them, okay, you can clip into that. But again, not tested, so we have no idea how long it's going to last. And the last thing we want is for any of you to blow out a shoulder because you're pulling hard and the band cuts loose. So just use at your own caution, be careful, but that's just another hack on how you can use the bands for any device. Now, for those of you who don't want to spend the money on a Rumblex, my very first platform that I bought that got me started with Lifepro is the Hovert. It is the widest, and that's one of the reasons why I bought it, because I wanted a really wide platform to work with. So let me slide this back so you can see in comparison with all the others. We've got a lot of, I'm getting a workout here this morning just moving these platforms around because they're heavy. All right. Rumblex Original, right here. Okay. Hovert is my first platform. Okay. And the Mini, which is our baby. Now, the Mini sits very low to the ground. I've got my handy dandy tape measure here. So we go across 27 inches across the original. The Hovert, the standing surface is 26.5 inches across. And the Waiver Mini, I already measured this once, but just reinforcing, 21.5 inches across. So, if you are not sure which platform you need to buy, and you don't want to spend a lot of money on the Rumblex series, the Hovert is my favorite of all of the others because of its size. I think if you've had any kind of an autoimmune issue, or if you are recovering from surgical issues, orthopedic, or you've got balance problems, you want to have the widest base of support possible because you're able to strengthen your whole body at that wide base of support. And the Hovert is the widest, okay? Yes. So when I had my total hysterectomy in December of 2018, I bought the Hovert for myself because the Rumblex series was not out yet. The Rhythm wasn't out yet. I have the Rhythm as well. The only two platforms that I don't have right now is the Turbo and the regular size Waiver. So I can't answer questions on those two because I don't have them here in my presence. But I can answer questions about the programming behind them because I have the owner's manuals. So I hope that answers some questions and clarifies some things. When we look at these in a row, they're all different levels. But again, the Waiver Mini is more ideal if you are traveling, okay? Or if you're just wanting to put it underneath of your desk and put your feet up on it so that you're getting some stimulation throughout the day to keep your legs activated, moving, circulation moving, things like that. I know, I'm gonna have a seat on these. I know that they're having some challenges with the Rumblex Pro right now with the shipping issues. So if you're on the fence with where to go on, if you're wanting a Rumblex, not quite sure, I'm gonna tell you, I still love my Rumblex Original. I love the Rumblex Pro. I do a lot of work with athletes and those that I'm rehabilitating on the Rumblex Pro because I have a lot of other options from my medical performance background. So for me personally, I like upgrading to the Pro, but if you're an everyday user at home and you're not worried about the curve, I actually like the curve. I enjoy using the curve for my own personal goals because when you have the curve, let me explain this. This is really hard to understand if you don't understand performance. If you think about a beach, okay, your beaches are sloped. If you're on a golf course, the golf course is sloped. If you are a runner or a walker and you're running or walking on the side of the road is sloped, okay? If you're on a sidewalk, the sidewalk is for the most part flat. But what I love about having the curve on the edge is I like grounding my feet and being able to get into this and I'm locked in, okay? When I'm on a flat surface, okay, I can't push into the ground the same way because there's nothing to push against the outside of my feet, so I don't activate the inner thighs and the outer thighs the same way on the flat platform as I do with the curved. That little bit of curve makes a huge difference when you're trying to strengthen your butt, your thighs, and the knee joint especially. But for those of you who have a lot of knee pain, and if putting yourself on a little bit of a slant, if walking on a beach, walking on a golf course, walking in your yard, if you have an unstable yard, which most of us have an unstable surface in our yard, if that causes you pain, then go flat. If you're not sure, you can't go wrong with any of them, because any of them is better than no platform at all. So I think that's it. Many people have asked me, how's my mom doing from her total knee replacement? She had her total knee replacement done like 2 months ago, and she got on the platform as soon as she was able to start doing resistance exercise in physical therapy. I kept her off of it as she was working through range of motion, because range of motion is the first thing that you work on, as well as pain management. And anytime we're working with range of motion and pain management, we deal with the potential of blood clots. And anytime you go into surgery, you're always risking yourself for blood clots. So I waited for her until she was getting more range of motion back, and they had started doing a little more basic strengthening and physical therapy. And once she got the clearance from her surgeon, 4 to 6 weeks out, that she was out of the woods for the blood clots, from being, put through the surgery, then I just had her get on it, but I had her from a seated position. So if you've watched the video from back the week of Thanksgiving, when I was in Arizona working with her, she has the turbo, if I remember right. She is doing phenomenal. She is ahead of the schedule for her rehabilitation. She's completely pain-free. The scar is working itself out very, very well. So the platforms are fantastic for recovery through total knee, total hip, surgeries. My stepdad had a shoulder reconstruction done just 4 weeks ago. And I know they're going through a lot of trauma in their house. And because of the COVID traveling situation, I can't fly out there to help them right now, but I'll be flying out there soon to help with them, because they want me there for the recovery. But my stepdad, in order to minimize pain, the platforms, whether you use the body part that was operated on or not, so with his shoulder, he still is in his brace. I had him stand on it just to absorb the energy on a low setting. The energy on a low setting calms the nervous system down, which lowers pain threshold. So ACL surgeries, same thing. With an ACL surgery, as long as you're like 2 weeks out, get on it, because ACL surgeries are one of the hardest surgeries to recover from, aside from a rotator cuff. A total knee and a total hip compared to an ACL or a shoulder are not challenging. They're all challenging, don't get me wrong, but an ACL reconstruction and a shoulder reconstruction are the two most complicated surgeries to recover from. It takes, it takes a good 4 to 6 months to recover really well. So if you have had a surgery, as long as your physician has given you the clearance that you're out of the woods with blood clots, you can get on your platform. Start from a seated position, because the first thing you lose after a surgery is your ability of balance and proprioception. Proprioception is your body's awareness in space. So reaction timing is off. So if you lose your balance and you try to catch yourself and stand in a different position to catch yourself, your body's awareness of where it's at is a little delayed. And so it's easy to fall after you've had a surgery, whether it's a shoulder surgery or whether it is a lower extremity surgery, because your sensory is off. Your brain pathways to your body's awareness and where it's at in space is altered. It's delayed. So the one thing that the platforms help with is getting that back. So make sure you stay seated until you have the ability to walk and stand unassisted. And if you have the ability to stand unassisted without having to hold onto a wall or a walker, then you can start from a standing position. So a lot of different questions with surgery and stuff, but make sure that you have physician clearance, that you are not dealing with a blood clot situation, because we don't want you to be 3 weeks post-op and you're wanting to work on the scar tissue, and so you sit on it, or you sit down with your feet on it, and we're vibrating those legs, because the majority of blood clots happen in the lower legs.
So we want to make sure that we're cleared by your physician to do that before you attempt that on your own time. We don't want any blood clots. That's a bad deal. I think that's where I want to leave this episode so that I'm not continuing to drag this out. But I will be back again later in the week to share some other thoughts. If you have specific questions, reach out to me. I'm located in Indiana, and I don't have the live platform up yet. I know Joel and Lifepro are working on a virtual platform. I'm not sure when theirs is coming out. I have my own personal platform, virtual classes coming out in August for a subscription, like $25 a month. But I do a lot of other things besides the platforms. I do just general rehabilitation opportunities. I do pain management exercises. I do a lot of different things. And so that platform will be launching in August, so anybody can join in and you can subscribe to whatever category of service that you're in need of. And I'll be uploading videos with workouts on the platforms to that every week. If you're wanting to do some pre-recorded workouts that are 10 minutes long, or if you're wanting to do rehabilitation on the platform, I can walk through some of those types of videos, but I will continue to give the videos here as well. So you don't have to subscribe in order to gain the benefits of being with Lifepro. So thank you all so much. If you have questions, feel free to reach out so that I can keep an eye on what the concerns are, because we want to make sure that you know that we're looking out for your best interest and your health and your safety. Your health and your safety is top priority for us. So we want to make sure that we're considering those when you are going through with your workouts. There is really no age limit for the platforms. My daughter is 9. It helps with her anxiety. I've got senior citizens on the platform in their 80s. So now for senior citizens, I put them on the Hovert because it doesn't have the lateral shift. Whereas the Rumblex has a tilt, a vibration, and a lateral shift. Lateral shift is not a good idea for senior citizen folks. But if the goal is to increase the ability to move and balance long term, or if that device will be handed down to somebody else within the family or a friend, go ahead and upgrade to the Rumblex, because you have so many options with that one, but you don't have to use the lateral movement. That's the beauty of the Rumblex, is you can isolate exactly what you want to get out of it. And so it's made for anybody and everybody. But from a balance standpoint, I like to put the senior citizen baby boomer group on a flat surface. So either the Rumblex Plus, the Hovert, because it has a wide base of support. Many of you have opted for the Turbo, or the Waiver because of the financial standpoint there. Whatever works for you. Senior citizens, I like to kind of veer away from on the Waiver Mini because it's just so small that it's really hard to stay on that one. So that's just a really ideal platform to use from a seated position or single leg. So if you're working single leg balance. But the Pro, the Rumblex Pro is my all-time favorite device because it has so many different options with it. So everybody have a great day. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you later in the week. Have a good day.